Hello everybody, welcome back to Factorio here in Just the Basics, and we're with the semi-unfamiliar for this series at least, vision of the loading in screen. So, there has, at long last, been an update to the stable version of Factorio. We are no longer in 0.16.x, we are in fact now in 0.17.69. And that brings with it a lot of changes. So many changes. Some of them will be intuitive and easy to understand, others not so much. But suffice it to say, it's going to very heavily change around all of, a large portion of our base, and we'll be getting through to a lot of that today. And then we might actually start making the base work, but we'll see. So we're just going to load in, and we'll see you in the world. So, when you load up an old world, it has to migrate a whole bunch of things, so it's just taking a whole ton of stuff, and, yeah, a lot of it's getting removed, and other parts are being changed over, because we don't quite have the numbers to things and whatnot, and recipes are changing, and all manner of things. The weirdest one for me in this entire list, speaking as a programmer real quick, is player to character. Why change the yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. At this stage in development, you wouldn't generally see the main central entity be changed, but there we are. So all of that's changed, and we can expect to see that a lot of stuff is broken. Some things are just kicking in now, because now things have changed. The game has changed, and let's just see if we can figure out exactly where that's all happening. Seems to be in part up here. I'm guessing the recipe's changed at some stage. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the research. So the research window has dramatically changed in its view. The inserters here look actually kind of cute, by comparison to old versions, I guess. A lot of graphics have been improved, other graphics have been completely removed or reworked entirely, but as you can see, there's quite a bit. And apparently we have a bunch of red science to actually do, so we might want to make a few of these be done, because oh boy, that's going to be a problem if we can't make fast inserters or steel axes. But thankfully, it should be rather speedy. And meanwhile, we'll just have a look around here, so we no longer have the gradiated, or at least not quite as much of a gradient. We can now see the hard edge of where our pollution was. Before, it would frequently fade so much that it would become basically invisible. And, well, I went around with the tank, and I did a lot of mischief. Very easy, because it was the tank. I don't know how much of the tank is wrecked now. But, oh boy, and yeah, you can see kind of what happens there is we researched the fast inserters, and suddenly a whole bunch of other stuff was completed because we'd already done it. We just had to get that little piece out of the way. But yeah, the tank is a behemoth, and is magnificent for getting rid of stuff, and as a consequence, the vast majority of stuff, especially remotely close to our pollution cloud, is just gone. And unfortunately, in spite of all of that effort, I have yet to find more oil. So, we're still chugging along on... oh, so little oil. Just down to 55% here. Ugh. We do have another problem up here, which is that we are backed up on light oil. So we need to try and come up with a solution for what to do with that. But, yeah. And, well, the major problem that we have really right now, as you can kind of see it here, is we do not have basically any iron. There's literally just one here that is still going, and even that's going to shut off very soon. Whereas there's only 4 of them really up here doing anything. They have a little bit more to them, but it's not going to last very long at all. So basically, we need to actually go through and set up a brand new iron refinery, iron mining operation, essentially, and that 1.7 million looks pretty good. There are much larger ones further afield, 11 million up here, that one's not even fully revealed. But of course, we'd have to go up there, clear a bunch of stuff out, and then build a train. But even for this, we are probably going to want to have some degree of train. We're going to want to add a train eventually, and once you start to move around all your inputs and stuff, this is probably the best time to do it. Green science! Gee, we might need that. We already researched most of the stuff past it. So we're just mostly setting ourselves back up from where we previously were to make sure that everything's caught back up with what we, like, actually had. So, anyways, let's go pick up a few things that have become superfluous in our production. And from the looks of things, our sciences are still functioning. We've got blue science up here that we haven't hooked in yet, but that's fine for the moment. It looks like it's not asking for that, asking for the miners, but that might also just be because it's currently unresearched. Because yeah, so it doesn't technically have the recipe, even though it's set to the recipe. So a thing to consider when migrating your world. And have these changed, or are they just lacking materials? That's the next question. Or is it possible that we haven't researched the electric mining drills? Let's have a look. No, we have it. It requires plates, and it requires gears, which we don't have because we don't have iron coming in. But military science is just about to finish up there. Okay. Blues. Go for it. And meanwhile, let's continue our leisurely jaunt. And this is working pretty okay over here with the coal. Haven't moved it around to be a bit more in line, but this much coal, 2.2 million, that should last us a fair while. So hopefully that will at least render our power problems consistent, I guess, would be the phrase. And as you can see, I'm still picking stuff up at the rate that we previously had with our steel axe, but you may notice in the bottom right over here, I don't actually have a steel axe. It's basically... I'm gonna make this comparison because it's probably... It's the most obvious one I can come up with, and it's also probably fairly familiar to viewers of my channel. It's like a Minecraft stat attribute. So things like your dig speed, your, like, arm reach, that kind of thing. It's basically converted it to, we always have a dig speed, and getting the steel axe in much the same way as getting the inserter capacity upgrades in research has just increased our value there. So we never have to craft a steel axe ever again, which means we actually also have a spare spot inside of the mall now. So all of that iron, we set it up, it seemed like it would last forever, and that's probably the last of it right there. And let's just plonk that over. There you go. Off you go. That'll become a plate, and it will then probably become a gear, and it will then probably be swiftly consumed by our rapid reclamation of sciences. Okay, so is there anything else here? Mining productivity, I could have sworn we gotten a few of those, but apparently not. I think that's basically everything caught back up. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that we could research that seems to have completed researches after it. So, hurrah, that gets us all back to where we were before. Now, what is the next thing that I research? Bearing in mind, we do have blue science running. It's just not currently actually hooked up to the main research. So let's see, we could go for advanced oil processing, which will give us a bunch of things, including how to make more solid fuel, which I could have sworn we were already doing, so I guess we want to get that. Yeah, there we are. There's a green right after it, the electric engine. So we do in fact want to get that because we already had that, ostensibly, and we were already making lubricant, so yeah, I guess that's our next thing. And that means I have to hook the blue up, so just finish grabbing this, and I'll go do that. Okay, so here we are with the science running along here, and we need to hook up this down here to all of that. Now, we're getting to the point where the amount of science labs that we have is becoming insufficient, and moreover to the point where we really are going to want to try and reorganize our science so that we can feed the sheer variety of sciences together in a cleaner fashion. But for right now, we're doing okay. Just need to remember that I don't really have a blueprint anymore, so it's convenient. Also, I don't have my keys for putting our, well, switching our hotbars. So let's go into settings, controls, and we have basic information. So let's see if we can find the right one. There we go. That should about fix it. So we just want to first clear that and then clone it so we can bring it across and have some degree of an idea of where our stuff is. So we do that. That tells us where we need to be for all of this. Now I don't believe... No, we do not have a long enough underground belt to actually stretch all the way, but we actually also don't need it to right now. So if we set that to there, and bring it to there, and along it goes, we should hopefully have enough belts for this. Okay. And that should get blue science into all of our current labs. Also gives us a rough roadmap for how to expand this, although this would not be how I would recommend doing an actual full construction. Just no, you wouldn't want to do this. But there we go, so that's advanced oil processing up and running again. Meanwhile, how's our pollution looking? Still good, still good. Nothing inside of our pollution cloud, so we shouldn't be seeing any attacks from the neighbors. Okay. So now we can find wherever it was I parked the tank. I think along here. And we can go see about setting up some more mining. Obviously, oil is still our major shortage, but we don't have much in the way of an option there, so we'll just have to deal. Hopefully, at some point in the future, when we have a broad-spanning rail network and such, we can just hop on a train and go find some stuff, but for right now, we just have to deal. Sometimes, resource shortages be like that, I'm afraid. And if I'm not mistaken, the tank is much, much quieter. Quite frequently, I'll be playing this, topping up a save and such, just whilst I've got stuff going on, and generally speaking, it's hard to hear anything going on when I have the tank running. Okay, let's hop down to over here. Should have what we're looking for. Now it's not in the right kind of colors, but that's fine for the moment because we can just override them. And we have how many lines going in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we ideally want to make sure that we have 8 lines coming out. And I can already see that that will not be a problem. But okay, let's plonk that there. And then update our standards for what we have here. So the little ghost icon there, if you click something and you don't have it in your inventory, it's configurable, you can change it in the settings, but you can also just place ghosts of things you don't have, which is much better than it used to be, because it used to just be that if you grabbed something and then had your robots, for instance, your construction robots, which we haven't gotten to just yet because they need a lot of oil, they would just take the last one out of your inventory and you would not be able to build anymore, which, hey, great change now. Okay, so that lands here, and there. Okay. So 2, 4, 6, and there is 8 right there. So we're just going to map this whole thing out, and while that's happening, I guess we research lubricant, because we already had the things that it's coming out of. Strange and entertaining things happen occasionally when you update your old save. And we can see exactly where we can just remove things because the miners have just completely vanished. So we just work our way around and make sure everything's neat and tidy. Right up there. And there. And there. There's probably another line to be added there. Yeah, just about. Okay. So that is a grand total of 117 miners. An individual miner will produce an item every half second, so that's 117 times 2 to get the rate per second. That will produce 234 iron per second, and that should be dramatically more than we need for the time being. Or at the very least, it's going to be dramatically more than we're getting for the time being. But we are going, nonetheless, to have to figure out how to get this the considerable distance from our base from here. And most likely, that will involve a train. Okay, lubricant. Anything else? Anything else that I need to worry about? Can we find the earliest tech tree possible? Let's see. No, not quite, by the looks of things. Was hoping we could get a full-blown overview of the full technology tree so we could actually see the stuff that we're missing. But that is apparently not the case. Okay. Construction robotics, utility science pack, logistics robotics. Power armor is one thing, but the more important thing is the actual portable fusion reactor after it. And that requires robotics anyways, so we probably want to go with just getting robotics, because that's going to be very helpful in the near future. But on the other hand, we can also use rocket fuel, which is crafted from solid fuel and light oil now, which means it is a double hitter on our light oil backup that we currently have. So just go for that, I think, and then we can check on advanced material processing at a later point when we actually have more use for it. So rocket fuel, much like solid fuel compared to coal, is significantly more fuel dense. It will allow us to make our vehicles run faster, our furnaces burn faster, or for longer at the very least. And really, it mostly is used for powering things like trains. Because trains, much as using the solid fuel, will move faster and longer with the rocket fuel. Obviously, rocket fuel is also ultimately used in rockets, but, well, we're not quite at that stage yet. So, we can afford to use it for other things in the meantime. And a step above rocket fuel is actually called nuclear fuel, which is dreadfully unwise, and not usually recommended to put into a vehicle, but, apparently this is Fallout. So, we're just going to be shoving it into things like our buggy and our tank and our trains and making them run especially fast. Eventually. And a buggy that's running off of nuclear fuel is kind of absurdly quick. It's almost unplayably quick, in fact. But who knows, maybe they've adjusted the values since the last time I used that. But so far we haven't seen any of our production lines get severely crippled and deactivated by virtue of the recipe changes, so we seem, for the most part at the least, to be okay at the moment. We'll have a quick mosey on down and see how things look once I've just finished up all of these, or at least until I've run out of belts. I have quite a few still in stock, as we can see in my bar there. Okay, so barring the addition of quite a few more miners, that should be ready to go once it gets power. It is still in our pollution cloud, and our pollution cloud is still grossly removed from any of the local population. So let's go and see exactly how our our research onslaught has impacted our production lines, and exactly how poorly in need our things are of assistance. Just to see exactly what's been messed up by the recipe changes. So obviously we're seeing some dramatic shortages because of just how little iron we're getting at the moment. But if any of these research lines are underfed, we can expect it is most probably from a recipe change that we've overlooked. And indeed, there does seem to be something going on here. Because these now no longer require mining drills, they require raw sulfur. Okay, sulfur's still made the same way. It is made from water and petroleum gas. We were not making it previously, because we were having enough trouble getting petroleum gas for plastic. So now we need to try and figure out a way to get petroleum gas from our input up here down to here, where we can then mix it with water, which is also not terribly abundant around here, and create sulfur to feed in here in place of our mining drills. And that is at least something that we no longer need. We can actually just grab a bunch of those and feed those into our new burgeoning iron mine. But nonetheless, that is a thing that we're going to have to shut off and refactor. But that is fine, because from the looks of things, everything else looks to be just about good. Let's see, recipe for military science is piercing rounds, grenades, and wool. Not turrets anymore. Okay, so that's another one that we need to just shut off, so let's just detach that from all of that. Okay, so that'll prevent it all from working, so that won't be making any more, and that also means we have a lot of surplus turrets, which I guess we can put to work elsewhere. So let's turn that off. We are also going to want to turn that off, and that, and that, and that should be all of the pieces that would otherwise be flowing into there. Okay. And then let's check green. Green is still transporter belts and inserters, so that's fine. Red is copper plates and gear wheels, so yep, still good there. And everything else we haven't made yet, so we are currently running on a backlog of blue science. That does at least give us the advantage that we actually have some blue science to work with. That's already being filtered in, so I don't have to go back to this particular arrangement and just keep hand feeding it. It's just already there. We don't need to worry about it. But we are going to have to fix the military science and the blue science, because the recipes have changed. But we will get around to that with the next episode, and hopefully by then I'll have arranged some kind of train system to get us our brand new iron resources. So, hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time.